Hey Pokemon fans, I'm TheJWittz, and welcome to TCG Tuesday, where I play Pokemon trading card game online with some of the more popular decks to let you guys know how some things work. Today we're working with what seems like a joke deck, but has a surprisingly good matchup against some very popular decks, Quad Snorlax. That is all it is 4 Team Plasma Snorlaxes, no energy, and your only offensive output is really either through Rock Guard or through using Hypnotoxic Laser repeatedly. It seems really silly, but against some popular decks that have a couple of holes where Snorlax's ability Block works, he's ridiculously good. So right away, my opponent starts Deoxys. I know this is the Team Plasma deck, one of the matchups that I like from this deck. And doing just that, starting Deoxys, is not good for him. Now, Deoxys has 2 retreat costs, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't really have much offensive input. In fact, he's actually going to try and use Helix Force. I think he knows his Deoxys is locked, and he might as well put some kind of pressure on. I've got hammers, I can try and remove his stuff, but the big idea is Snorlax's ability Block prevents retreating, and so big Deoxys, who really doesn't hit that hard and is kind of a huge staple of the whole deck, he's stuck active. If I can poison him with Verbank City Gym in play, I can deal 3 damage in between each turn, and rack up some EX KOs really easily. Get Sis is a big staple of this deck. You play it, look at your opponent's hand, choose the item cards, shuffle them back into their deck, and then you draw that many. Here it wasn't that great. I picked up 1 and drew 1. That's not really that strong a draw, but in the right situation, you can remove your opponent's switch card or any of their utilities and really put yourself in a favorable spot. So lucky for me, he doesn't really seem to have too much going for him. And in fact, now that his hand is empty, I know he doesn't have a supporter. Yeah, I hit for Helix Force and got around my Rock Guard Snorlax, but I can switch back, draw some with Bicycle, which is a card I'm not 100% sold on. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But I've got a hammer, no lasers, but Deoxys is still stuck. I can possibly end to get more cards. I'm pretty cool with this. Discard an energy off him. I could play the end here, get 6 new cards, but he has no hand himself. I feel better about my odds than his. I decide to end my turn and just kind of leave him active. Don't want to give him any way to switch, and the wait pays off. Instantly I draw Skyla. This deck has a lot of different ways to get back to its lasers and tools. And so Skyla, definitely something I wanted to see. I hit him up with the laser, and now he is in my trap. He can't move because he's blocked, and he's taking 3 poison damage in between each turn. That's going to rack up. With 3 turns gone and past, I get knockouts on EXs for 2 prizes, all while holding a pretty beefy basic Pokemon that does not give up 2 prizes, the 130 HP Fatty Snorlax. I draw, I've got catchers, which are great. If he ever does decide to switch, I can just catcher his Deoxys back up, leave him stranded until he plays another switch card. So he plays Skyla. He could get a switch card right here, but since he has no other supporter, he decides to go for a Juniper. I'm fine with that. He's still racking up poison damage. I try and recycle to get one of my lasers back into play. It doesn't work. I still like having the catchers in hand. I could end here since he does have the Juniper, kind of like mess with his strategy. He's going to get 7 new cards, but you know what? Everything seems pretty good. Pass it on. Let him take the poison. Force him to mill through his deck. That's sometimes a way where Snorlax can win, is your opponent decks out because they just are trying so hard to get resources to save themselves and they can't. But I am really hoping he doesn't hit a switch or a scramble switch. And he attaches the Float Stone. Now, I know later in this game he's going to play Snorlax, and I'm sure he knows how Snorlax works. I think he's just attaching the Float Stone as a moot point. That way I don't remove it with a Gapsis and get myself an extra card. But he knows, as long as Snorlax is in play, he cannot retreat. So, typically that Float Stone would be great for Deoxys against any other deck, but with Block, there is nothing he can do. He's stuck active, he's got the perfect amount of damage, where after he passes, he is gone, and I get 2 prizes. And it gives me free reign to do what I want. So he's gone. I've already taken 2 prizes by playing a single trainer card and a stadium alongside it. It's kind of ridiculous. I get 2 crushing hammers, not really that worried at this point. I have everything I want. He's pretty well set on energy. I'm poisoned, so I've got the switch. I can go up to a clean Snorlax. I'm cool with that. Obviously want to catch one of his Deoxys, and hopefully it sticks. He played the Float Stone, so I don't even know how many switch or scramble switch he plays. Float Stone's a great card against just about every other deck because you can continually move the Deoxys or a Keldeo or something like that. Against Snorlax, he does not care about your float stones. You have to do a hard switch or you're stuck. And that's also why he's good against the Darkrai decks, because they normally use Darkrai's ability, where if you have a Dark Energy attached, you can move freely. You can't with Snorlax, and that deck doesn't play any switch, so it can be one of your best matchups. So I pull up, hit up his Doxus, and hopefully he sticks, doesn't have any kind of switch card. He plays a laser of his own. Once again, I'm not too concerned. I played plenty of switches and max potions to keep Snorlaxes alive, and even if one does fall, it only gives him 1 prize, while I'm taking 2 on his EXs. So he goes Ultra Ball. It's not really too much you particularly want to put down at this point, but he's going to go ahead and look. While he has these multiple Doxes in play, those are my go-to targets. He only maxes out at 30 damage with Helix Force because I don't attach any energy to my own Snorlax, and so I can take 30 every turn. In fact, I'm already dealing 30 every turn and in between turns. And so that is an exchange I will take any day of the week. He decides to grab Lugia, which is actually a pretty smart idea. Now, he's only going to have a few opportunities to be open for an attack, so why not do it with Lugia, who takes an extra prize card on knockouts? My Snorlaxes are only giving him 1 at a time, so why not take 2 for the few opportunities you are able to go up and take a prize? He did attach to Kyurem though, so I don't know if he is actually planning that out or not. And he does have his own Snorlax, so I'm sure he knows of the power of block. There's just not too much he can do in this situation. So I play Shadow Triad, lets you get a Plasma card from your discard pile back into your hand. And it is so great in this deck because it is basically just 4 more Hypnotoxic lasers. Anything you can do to hit him with lasers as many times as you can. Recycle, Triads, whatever you can do. So he ends, and I am totally cool with this new hand. I've got a Recycle to maybe get a new laser back into play, got the Verbank City Gym, and there's the Bicycle. Now, the idea behind the Bicycle is actually sort of an end counter. If somebody ends me in the late game down to like 1 card, 2 cards, I have the Bicycle so that I can play them, draw into a supporter, and also play the supporter. In particular, in late game, when I want to hit a laser whenever I can, Bicycle into Shadow Triad, use that. Is it perfect? I'm not 100% sure. I've considered switching it with some kind of hard draw, either more Junipers or Charons or something like that, but so far, Bicycle's been okay. So he hits me with Raiden Knuckle. I'm actually not that frightened by Thunderous active. He can only hit with Raiden Knuckle unless he gets a lot of energy attached. And I've got the Rock Guard Snorlax, which will put 6 damage counters on him if he decides to hit me. So I'm pretty cool putting him up as a wall. Now, he will accelerate energy pretty quickly this way, but I'm okay with that. He's stuck. I get 2 prizes as long as he's stuck, and that sounds pretty good to me. I decide, should I discard off Lugia? Should I discard off his active? I decide to go for the active. Maybe not the best play. Lugia is probably my only real fear at this point, but I decide whatever I can do to slow him up, why not? I Juniper, find the beloved Hypnotoxic Laser, and even a Max Potion, which will keep me alive another turn, prevent him from knocking me out with maybe like a Knuckle plus Poison, something like that. Either way, just dropping that Max Potion, because I play 0 energy, is always a complete full heal on a Snorlax. It's a really great tool. I also have another Snorlax in my hand, so I'm not going to run out of those anytime soon. I'm pretty cool with this. Hit him up with the laser. Drop another Snorlax. I've got the Crushing Hammer. Might as well play it. Or not. I don't know if I didn't notice it was in my hand or just decided, well, what am I really discarding here? He's just going to get energy back. Either way, I decide to hold on to it. But for the most part, whether or not he has energy in play isn't really going to matter. It's just whether or not he can hit those switching cards. If he can't, he is completely locked and in trouble. So he plays Catcher, up Snorlax, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, it's not the one with the Rock Guard, he's not going to get all those extra damage, but I'm still fine with this. He's stuck active, and he hasn't played any switches other than that Scramble switch, so I'm starting to feel pretty good. I don't even know if he runs switch at this point. He's drawn a lot of cards and hasn't really used any. So yeah, he attacks my Snorlax. No, it's not the one that's going to deal damage back to him, but I'm okay. I'm cool. I've got to revive, get another Snorlax in play, get the whole family together with all 4. And the way poison damage works, it's just always going to be a favorable exchange for me where he'll be knocked out coming into my turn. And it'll especially expedite that if he does the perfect 6 damage to himself by attacking me. I decided to go for a Hammer. Do I want to go off Lugia? Do I want to go off Thundurus? I decide Thundurus, maybe stop the damage output that he's doing right now. Lugia, again, also a good choice. And I can revive, get another Snorlax. He's got to go through a whole squad, 6 Snorlax if he wants to win. And I can always, you know, use Getsis, draw some new cards. I put away his Laser and Catcher to get Laser and Catcher, so I am pretty set. If he ends up getting knocked out for any reason, I can just pull somebody up and Laser him again. I don't have any supporters, which isn't great, but I'm okay with this. He's got a Laser on me, means much less for me than when I play a Laser on him, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, Snorlax has that perfect 130 HP, where it actually takes in between 5 turns for them to knock me out through poison, instead of 4 if, for example, it was 120. And he really is pretty bulky for a non-EX. But with him stuck, he's trying to decide, you know, you don't want to attach an energy. You're gonna kill yourself in the worst way if you attack me. So he just sticks and passes it out. I am absolutely okay with that. I draw, I've got to switch to remove that poison condition, and I no longer need to worry about the guard because he's gonna have the perfect amount where after he passes, if he can't switch, that's 2 more prizes for me. Snorlax taking prizes, all you need is a single trainer card and pretty much nothing else. A stadium and a really wicked ability. It seems strange just preventing somebody from retreating being such a huge asset, but with everybody's huge reliance on free retreat and float stones, being able to lock people out is really, really good. So he attaches, but it's not even the, you know, Colress Machine isn't really going to help him. He can't retreat. I'm not actually sure why he did that. You should have put it on Lugia or something, because he's gone. Can't move, can't do anything. Could have been a misclick. I get my 2 prizes. Now I am totally set. 2 catchers, 2 lasers. The Getsis if I want to, you know, prevent him from anything. Even an N if I absolutely have to, but it's not the best play right now. I decided to Getsis, just see what he's working with. 2 Kyurem is not good. He has nothing, and I'm pretty confident his Deoxys is just stuck. He gets a Keldeo. He can switch in the Keldeo, but then Keldeo's stuck, and he has no more bench space. He's not going to switch to Keldeo. I didn't kill the Deoxys, but I am totally okay with this, because Keldeo will not go anywhere without a switch card. Hit him up with the laser and pass is really the best strategy here. Keldeo's stuck. Doesn't really matter if he stays awake or asleep, because he's not moving either way. He's not attacking either, unless he decides to attach a bunch of energy that he really shouldn't. And it's pretty much just draw, pass, draw, pass. Can I prevent him from... Oh, no. Well, there's Juniper. If he does run any switch cards, he'll probably hit it here. He doesn't have much left in the deck. And unless he just runs a lot of float stone on the 1 scramble switch, he's probably going to get a switch out here. Or maybe they're prized, you never know. He still has 5 prizes. It's kind of hard to go through multiple Snorlax that can heal their HP at any time they want. And he does play at least 1 regular switch. He's got the Keldeo up, and so that's going to be at least 1 more knockout on Snorlax. There's the 140 with Blizzard Burn. I am totally okay with that. Sure, he takes 1 prize here, but I've got Rock Guard Snorlax myself, and I also have Catcher and Shadow Triad, so I could pull up Keldeo again, and rinse and repeat. Just hope he doesn't hit a switch. I feel confident that my resources will not run out, while his probably will. He doesn't play things that can get switched back into play. That's kind of the beauty of Shadow Triad. So I pull it up. It's another laser. Boom, right down on Keldeo, and if Keldeo gets knocked out, that's game. So he waits, wakes up, but again, if he doesn't have another switch card here, Keldeo is locked. And just like that, all you need is a couple of trainer cards and a brutally good ability with Fatty Snorlax to wipe out what is arguably the best deck in the format right now, or at least one of the best. Now, is Snorlax the best deck right now, overall? No, it has a ton of holes, actually. It can lose to things like Blastoise, which can switch twice with Keldeo. It can lose to things like Gothitelle, because once you can't use trainers, you have no offensive input. It can lose to Garbodor, because it ruins your awesome ability. But those 3 things aside, it can actually beat some really popular decks. Now, he plays the Skyla. If he had a switch, he would have used it, and that's the game. Just like that. Snorlax just kind of rolls. And as you can see, 0 energy played, 0 MVP because Snorlax himself dealt no damage. And that's how it's done. But thank you guys for watching TCG Tuesday. I hope you guys enjoyed this little display of what Snorlax can do. No, it doesn't break the format, but it does break some very popular decks. I'll see you guys next Tuesday with another Pokemon Trading Card Game Online match.